Long story short, this is how you do Batman Dark and Gritty. Not this. Alright, what's up everybody? This is Alex once again with another installment in my DC Animated Universe movie review series. We are on to Batman Under the Red Hood. That's my hood coming up. Everything and the Kitchen Sink. This was directed by Brandon Vietti in 2010, and we have a stellar voice cast on hand as always. We have Bruce Greenwood of the Star Trek reboot franchise, in which he played Captain Christopher Pike. He's on hand as Batman. Bruce Wayne. We have Jensen Ackles, Jason Todd, the Red Hood, John DiMaggio as a creepy as all hell Joker, Neil Patrick Harris as Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, in a pitch perfect casting, if you ask me, and also Wade Williams, who I don't know much about him, but he plays a really great Black Mask, a very violent, very angry version of Black Mask I really liked. Now, Under the Red Hood is actually a sequel story in the comics to Death in the Family, which was released back in 1988, in which we saw the Joker kill Jason Todd. And actually, the comic fans got to dial into a 1-800 number, yeah, those used to exist, and basically voted whether or not to let Jason Todd live or die. And I think the margin was something like 30 or 40 votes in which they voted to kill him, which is really interesting to see just how divided the community of fans was about Jason Todd as a character. 2004, Under the Red Hood, also written by the same person, Judd Winnick, who wrote the screenplay for this movie, wrote that run of Batman, and saw the return of Jason Todd as the titular Red Hood. So it's a really cool, compelling story. So let's dig into what actually happens in this. And of course, this is an adaptation, and I actually like this version more than I like the comic version, so I'll say that much. We kick off with a flashback of sorts. Ra's al Ghul is shown in his big manor, and it's been brought to his attention that the Joker has gone a little bit too far in terms of what they were planning. Ra's al Ghul is planning to destabilize the economy of Europe and has unleashed the Joker to distract Batman and Robin. At this point, it's Jason Todd Robin. And in the heist that they catch the Joker in, they get separated. Jason is taken to a warehouse by the Joker, and we see him absolutely beat the hell out of him with a crowbar, basically beating him half to death. It's a cringeworthy scene. It's a really unsettling scene. If you know, just watching it again, I got goosebumps again just seeing how violent the scene is. Beats him half to death and leaves, and not minutes later, Batman arrives on the scene and is minutes or just seconds even too late to save Robin when a bomb goes off, killing the boy Wonder. And that kind of sets Batman on this path of, it's in his mind, it's his first great failure. We flash forward to about 5 years later, and we are introduced to the Red Hood, who has cornered some of the most notorious drug dealers and arms peddlers in the city, and basically says, "You now pay up to me. Your pay up to me is for protection, and I won't kill you." He basically levels a machine gun at them and then throws a body bag full of all of their lieutenants' heads in it. He's like, "This is the new deal. Take it or leave it, or you're dead." And it's pretty cut and dry. And they it's have to kick it with them because they don't want to die, obviously. We then flash over to Batman, who is chasing after a stolen truck. It's revealed that these criminals, these crooks, have stolen an Amazo, which, if you've seen the Justice League cartoon, you know that Amazo is a sort of cybernetic android who can take on the powers of other heroes. And he gets to fight it, and during the course of the fight, Nightwing shows up, and it's Neil Patrick Harris, as I mentioned, and he is just quip after quip after quip, and it's really funny to see these henchmen who are tied up are like, "Well, who the heck is the pretty boy in the leotard?" It's like, "Oh, it's Nightwing, the first Robin." And I have to wonder, how the hell did they possibly know that? Funny aside, so it's really cool to see Batman and Nightwing fighting together. Obviously, this is Dick Grayson, who has grown up and sort of grown up past the mantle of Robin and become his own hero. And it's cool just to see the two fight together again. Clearly, there's a little bit of animosity there, which isn't explored enough in this movie, I don't think. And it's just great to see the two of them absolutely just kicking ass. It's so cool. They're pulling gadgets out of their belts and out of their wrist compartments, and grappling hooks are going everywhere. It's so cool, and probably one of my favorite moments in all of DC animated universe history. It's fantastic. They eventually blow him up when Batman puts plastique over his eyes, blows his heads off. and again, Dick Grayson, Nightwing is just like, plastique. That'll do it. Well, of course it'll do it. So at that point, they're interrogating the goons that were trying to steal the Amazo, and at that point, 3 shots are fired off, and Batman sees that it's somebody on a building very far away. He calls in the Bat plane and flies off in pursuit of him, cornering him finally at Ace Chemicals, which we know is where the Joker was born. There's some back and forth. Red Hood blows up the building. Batman barely escapes. At this point, Batman and Robin, or Nightwing, I should say, decide to go after the Joker, because at this point, we're shown that the Joker's first criminal alias was as a Red Hood variant. The Red Hood is actually a pretty popular alias for a lot of low-level criminals in the Batman universe, and this was, of course, the Joker's first go-round as a criminal. And they're like, are you behind this? And of course the Joker's like, well, no, I don't have anything to do with this. And if I did, I would have told you somehow. And so they leave him. And at that point, they once again are cornered by Red Hood here, and they're chasing after him essentially. And it's at this point we see that without Bruce knowing who this is just yet, that he's kind of getting suspicious because he's got moves. He's been trained. He cuts a cable that Batman throws at his leg before it goes taut, which would of course let him escape. And of course the whole time Nightwing's just like, how did he do that? How does he know how to do this? The chase continues, and they manage to get to a train station, which is blown up minutes later because the Red Hood likes to blow up a lot of things in this movie. And just before the explosion goes off, Red Hood shouts to Batman, you haven't lost your, and a train goes by. And it's kind of like, well, who the heck is this guy? Again, we have more flashbacks, which is a really cool way to kind of articulate the evolution of Jason Todd as Robin. Batman's talking to Alfred saying, even from square one, day one, when he put on the mask, I knew he was dangerous. And it's interesting to see, him grow up. The early scenes of them fighting against the Riddler in this flashback are really kind of cool because Jason's very, excited about being Robin. But as he starts to grow up and he's, more confident in his abilities, he's becoming more violent. He's becoming more dangerous, more reckless. Flash forward again. This goes back and forth a couple times. We have the fearsome Hand of Four. And they are out after the Red Hood. And I don't know who the fearsome Hand of Four is, but they've got like some cybernetic suits on and they all have a weapon. It's kind of neat. And they're attacking one of the crime lords to draw out Red Hood. And as Red Hood shows up, they're fighting, and he's kind of losing the fight. And they're just like, you can't beat us. And he's like, oh, I'm not trying to win. I'm just stalling. And then Batman swings into action. And they beat the crap out of you. They beat the crap out of the fearsome Hand of Four. Again, the gadgets come out, and it's just really cool to see, now that we've seen Batman and Dick Grayson, Nightwing fighting together, we see Jason Todd, Red Hood fighting alongside Batman. You can see that the fighting styles complement each other. The gadgets, it's all so well in line. They managed to beat the fearsome Hand of Four, and Red Hood escapes. But Batman is kind of onto him at this point. He was able to discern that what Jason, or Red Hood at that point, said to him in the train station, you never lost your touch, Bruce. He was able to use some Bat computer technology to scramble out the train noise that passed by. And he takes one of the swords of the fearsome Hand and takes it back to the Batcave because it has some of Red Hood's blood on it. At this point, it's basically revealed that it is Jason Todd. And that's not good because now Batman knows, Alfred finds out and is absolutely crushed. This really does sort of bring their world crumbling down. So like, this is the first soldier that we lost. My son, I lost him and he's back now. What the hell happened here? We flash over to Arkham Asylum and we see Black Mask has sent in some men to bring out the Joker again because he's figuring, if anybody can kill this guy, it's got to be the Joker. And so, well, you can imagine where this is going. In the meanwhile, Batman has flown off to meet Ra's al Ghul and confronts him, basically saying, what the hell did you do? And it's at this point we flash back to the beginning of the movie where Ra's al Ghul reveals his plan to Batman, basically says, I had no idea the Joker would go so far, and I am so sorry. It's really interesting to see the head of the demon, Ra's al Ghul, be so apologetic to Batman, and it really brings some more humanity to his character, which is really interesting to see in a Batman character. And as always, it's interesting to see in a Batman villain. I'm so sorry I did this. I thought that if anything, I could try and fix this for you. I managed to get the body away, and he reveals that the Lazarus Pit, which he uses to rejuvenate himself and allow him to live for several centuries, could also bring back the dead. And so he and his team put the body of Jason Todd into the Lazarus Pit. It works, but he comes back damaged, as he put it. He's basically insane, and he's just completely lost his grip on reality. And he escapes from their lair. Seemingly, that's it. And then of course, present day, he's come back as Red Hood. So, on the way back from Ra's al Ghul's compound, we find out that the Joker has kidnapped all of Black Mask's goons and Black Mask as well, and is threatening to burn them all alive in a giant truck. Red Hood shows up, Batman shows up, and at this point we get probably one of the greatest third act finales of, frankly, any Batman movie ever. Red Hood captures Joker, takes him to Crime Alley, and says, Batman, if you want him, come and get me. They meet up in Crime Alley. There's fighting going on. They end up on a roof of a church, at which point Jason does reveal himself by taking off the mask as Red Hood. And the two are they're just going at it. They're on such an equal level. And the thing that I like the most about this movie and Batman movies in general is that when the heroes and villains are on the same level, there are no superpowers involved. It's so good because the camera can get in real tight with the action and the fighting is so precise. It's not just big haymakers like Batman and Wonder Woman throw. It's technical. It's different combat styles. Gadgets are coming out, batarangs, knives, and all kinds of things are being thrown around. And it makes for a much more visceral and personal fight, I would say. And this fight goes and goes and goes, and eventually they lead themselves into an apartment where Jason has trapped the Joker. And here we get probably one of the best moments. Again, this movie has so many great moments. Jason is just, he's trying to be a better Batman than Bruce is. And his whole thing is, if I have to kill somebody, I'm okay with that. But why couldn't you kill the Joker? Batman, Bruce, why didn't you kill him? It doesn't have to be Two-Face. It doesn't have to be, anybody else. Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze. This guy, this piece of trash, why couldn't you kill him? What if it was you that he beat to death that day? I would have done it. Like, why just one time make the exception? Why couldn't you have just killed him? And Batman stands his ground. He's like, I want to. There have been so many times where I could have done it, and it would have been easy. But if I had done it, I wouldn't be able to come back from that. And even though the Joker took you, Jason, away from me, I couldn't do it. And there's this push and pull. There's this elemental force, and it shows the absolute difference between Jason and Bruce, that Bruce will stop. There is a line that he cannot cross even when he loses a family member, and that's really poignant. But Jason's like, I absolutely don't care. If he took you from me, I would have killed him. And he basically puts Batman in a no-win situation. He grabs the Joker, puts a gun to his head after throwing a gun to Batman, and says, either you kill me or I kill him. And Batman just drops the gun. He's like, I'm not going to do it. Turns around, and in... You know Batman's good. Like, Batman's probably one of the, if not the best superhero because of just the things that he does. And I can already hear the comments going, oh, it's because he's Batman, blah, blah, blah. Batman can do whatever he wants because Batman is Batman. Whatever. Batman turns around, and he hears Jason point the gun to the back of his head. He hears him pull the trigger. He hears the hammer going back. And at the last second, he dodges, slips a batarang out of his glove, and flings it into the barrel of Jason's gun, exploding it. I'm just like, no, come on. I get it, you're Batman, but Jesus, you can't be that good. Yes, you can because you're Batman. At that point, the Joker's just going crazy. It's unnerving how good John DiMaggio plays this role. It's no Mark Hamill, I'll give you that, but it is a whole other level of creepiness. And he's like, no, this is perfect. You lost. Jason's lost. I'm the only one that wins here because Jason has set a bomb to go off. He's like, no, everybody loses. I don't know how the hell you just did that, Batman, but oh man, I get to win for once. And he's grabbing Batman. Jason's trying to get up, and Batman gets them both out of the bombs, blast radius. Jason disappears. Batman finds the Joker under the rubble. He's just like, God damn it. Like, how did you find a way to win? Every single time. There's like, you're the most rootinest, tootinest, goth-loving something or other. It's just hysterical listening to this Joker version. Just like, I don't know how you do it, but man, I hate it. So they take him back to Arkham Asylum, and the final scene shows the Batcave again. Alfred is offering to take down the Jason's Todd's Robin costume, which Batman keeps all the costumes of his teammates in the Batcave. It's sort of like a memorial for them, or just to suit up whenever they need to. Should I take this down? And Bruce is like, nope, it stays up. And it's such a great way to show that he still honors the memory of Jason Todd. It's really, really great. And that's the basic plot of the movie. It is gritty, it is violent, it is glorious, but not to the point of being gratuitous. The music is absolutely fantastic. It's a very, very dark and ominous score, and and when it's paired with the fight scenes, especially when Bruce and Jason are fighting one-on-one, it's really impactful. And the fight scenes here are choreographed so well, because again, it's not just the big punches and haymakers that Superman throws. It's technical fighting skills, like I mentioned. We get to see the gadgets come out. And when I mentioned at the beginning of the review, everything and the kitchen sink, that's what I'm talking about here. I mean, not to mention there's a fight in a kitchen and Jason's head gets smashed on a kitchen sink. That's funny, yes. But it just goes to show that, again, when the villains and the heroes are on the same level, evenly matched, gadget for gadget, skill for skill, you get a really great movie, and it really comes through. I went back and read the notes. I've watched it twice now this weekend, and I honestly can't find a fault with this movie. It's damn near perfect. Maybe there could have been a little bit more delving into Jason's descent into madness, or where he came from, or how he got to be the Red Hood. I don't know, maybe little bits and pieces there of story, but man, this movie is just damn near perfect. And that's awesome. I can't say enough about this movie. It was the highest rated DC animated movie up until The Dark Knight Returns, which I'm super excited to review because that's just, landmark in terms of Batman stories. But this one just blows me away how good it is. If you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend going to check out Batman Under the Red Hood. Next week, I believe we are on to Batman, Superman, Public Enemies, which is going to be awesome. But until then, thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know what you liked about Batman Under the Red Hood. Do you have a favorite moment in the movie? I've got plenty of mine. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have an idea what I should review next, obviously, let me know as well. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.